Greetings, all you Quintana seekers out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatch, Season 2. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
What up?
Today we're going to recap, discuss, and rate Season 2, Episode 10, Sanctuary. Alternate title, Battlescar Screlactica.
Wow, that was stretching it. I was looking for something like immigration related, so I was like, Fievel, a Bajoran tale.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe. A quick note on spoilers in case our rewatch is your first watch. Expect full spoilers through this episode, obviously, since we have to talk about it. But just an appropriate minimum of minor spoilers for later in the series. But we won't spoil anything too big, like when the search for the Dominion leads our crew to the Dominion, a baking-based empire.
An empire run by female deer.
Yes. Well, that happens later. I didn't want to spoil that. They have to go through several Dominions before they get to the big one.
That would be funny.
This episode originally aired November 28th, 1993. It was written by Frederick Rappaport from a story by Gabe Esso and Kelly Miles, and directed by good old Les Landau.
Less Landau, more like more Landau.
Yeah, these what are these guys called? The Screans or whatever?
Yep.
They want way more Landau. Anyway, in this episode, Sisko calls Kira into his office to gently call her out on her involvement with Bajoran affairs. Oh man, sorry. I'm going to start that whole thing over. Sisko calls Kira into his office to gently call her out on her involvement with Bajoran affairs. Holy Jesus. This is why we don't drink whiskey before we start recording. Sisko calls Kira into his office to gently call her out on her involvement with Bajoran affairs interfering with her station duties. She accepts this criticism gracefully. This scene has nothing to do with the rest of the episode. As soon as she leaves the office, O'Brien notifies her that Quark is looking for her.
It really does feel like she's just trying to put off working because it's like, she's just told Sisko, yeah, I'm sorry for getting distracted. I will go work on that report right now. And O'Brien's like, hey, Quark wants to see you. And she's like, you know what? I'll go see Quark. see what he's up to. Why not?
Yeah, so I'm just really confused about what these first couple scenes are really supposed to be about. Like, because it seems like they're trying to establish kind of a day in the life type episode about Kira. But then they kind of drop that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's like, let's throw in a little bit to show how Kira is involved in Bajoran politics beyond her role as first officer.
I mean, I'm confused about what the point of the whole episode is, frankly.
That's a fair point.
But I'm also like, and also with these first couple of scenes, I was like, are they trying to spotlight like how much progress Kira has made in becoming like more diplomatic or something like that?
Given that she's apparently just stands in the middle of office yelling at Bajoran politicians over the subspace radio.
Well, it's like she gets called in, and then Sisko kind of gives her this piece of feedback, and she's like, you know what, you're absolutely right. Like, I need to sort my priorities. Whereas I feel like, early season 1 Kira would have totally, like, exploded.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's a fair point.
But anyway, in Quarks, all the patrons are enchanted by a Bajoran musician named Varani playing a song remarkably similar to the Deep Space Nine theme song.
Yep. Sure is.
Yep. Quark hands Morn a bar towel to wipe his tears before going to complain to Kira that Varani's music is too good for the bar and people are not spending enough money. Kira passes this feedback on to Varani, who accepts it gracefully. Varani and Kira talk about his wish to have Bajor's artistic heritage restored, but as usual, the ministers have other priorities to worry about.
I kind of get in this case why it's like, yes, building a music hall is not top of the list, where he's like, but no, our like artistic heritage is super important. And I'm like, yeah, for you who is an artist as a profession, I get why to you it is super important, but to the people who want to eat in the middle of the famine or whatever that gets talked about later, maybe there's other priorities.
Yeah, I do feel kind of bad for this guy, though. That, like, apparently he was this, he played in this grand, like, Carnegie Hall style environment, and now he's, like, playing in Quark's.
Yeah, it is a bit of a come down, for sure.
And I feel like this was a little bit more of that, like, where Quark gives his complaint to Kira, and then Kira kind of, like, puts it in a much more diplomatic way when she's passing it on to Varani. Kira returns to Ops just in time to see a damaged ship come through the wormhole. Seeing that life support is about to fail on the ship, they beam the crew out. 4 flaky-skinned aliens materialize on the transporter pad. But for some reason, the translator can't translate their language. For some reason, that's never really fully explained.
No, I mean, they're just like, it must be so different from ours. And I'm like, but we've gotten lots of, like, Gamma Quadrant aliens come through. You never had problems with Tosk, or I felt like it was just like a really random and cheap way to drag out the story a little bit.
Exactly, because it has no bearing at all on the rest of the story.
The only thing we get from it is one joke about how, like, Kira brings her the dress, and she's like, no, I was saying that this was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen.
Right, which is just them milking it some more to drag out the...
Yeah, and even that, I was like, have you ever been walking through a store and seen something so ugly that you're like, look at this, look, everyone look, this is the ugliest thing. No, we can't leave. I have to talk about how ugly, because she is very emphatic.
When you really like when you speak a different language from someone else, but you urgently have to communicate how ugly you think a dress is. Yeah. Makes very little sense.
It's also like the way that they just keep, like, during this whole section, the lady just keeps chattering at Kira, which is what we want, because apparently that's how the universal translator will understand her. But she doesn't know that. So it's like, are you ever, like, going to a different country where the people don't speak English, and you just keep talking in rapid fire English to someone who doesn't understand you? Like, it's just, the whole thing is bizarre.
Yep. But anyway, the aliens seem to respond well to Kira, so she takes them down to the promenade to get checked out at the infirmary. As you mentioned, along the way, the one female alien, who seems to be their leader, sees a dress in a dress shop and spends a lot of time talking about it.
And then the guys keep picking stuff up in the store after being repeatedly, like, Odo takes it out of their hands and puts it down, and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to pick it up again.
And I didn't look it up, but... one of the guys who I guess turns out to be her husband's, I swear I've seen him, like, he's been around Star Trek.
Let me see. I don't even, hold on, what are their names here? There's so many weird names in this episode. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't even know if their names are given.
Varani, no, we know that's the music guy. We got Hazar, that's the general guy later. That's the Vedek, that's the really annoying lady from the government. Do we really not have the names of these two guys? Huh.
I don't think they're ever said.
Oh, hold on. Here's 2 co-stars, Guy and Cowell. Maybe that's them. Oh, yeah, okay, this seems to be them. So we got the 2 that were not her son, which...
Right.
That's got to be... Although the guy who plays her son, angry young man, is apparently... his name is... Alexander Koenig, Walter Koenig's son.
Okay, I saw that name in the credits, and I was like, that has got to be Walter Koenig's son.
Okay, so one of those 2 guys does not appear to have been in any other Star Trek episodes, though he was in The Office, Hill Street Blues, and Quantum Leap.
Huh.
The other guy, Leland Orser, shows up as a Romulan later on in Deep Space Nine, as a Romulan named Lovok. And he's in an episode of Voyager and an episode of Enterprise.
Yeah, okay. That's got to be the guy I was thinking of. He's just one of those, hey, you got any alien work for me?
Also was in Saving Private Ryan and Pearl Harbor.
I do remember his part in Saving Private Ryan. He was he's the guy who complains that they put too much armor in the glider to protect the general, and then as a result the glider crashed.
And he was in all 3 Taken films.
I do not remember that.
I didn't even know, other than Liam Neeson, I didn't know there was somebody who was in all 3.
Remember Liam Neeson has his team of buddies? Like, that he has his, like, bodyguarding business with?
I think I only ever saw the first one.
Okay. Well, I only ever saw the first one also, but...
Oh, okay. Then.
I'm pretty sure, like, they're just in one scene of the movie, basically, at the very beginning, when, like, Liam Neeson is the bodyguard for this pop star, and like,
that scene I do remember, yeah.
He's got, like, his other buddies that he works with, and I think he's one of those guys.
Okay.
So anyway, after various adventures on the promenade and in the infirmary, Kira and Cisco show them to some quarters. Finally, the translator starts working, and the lead alien, Hanik, who I keep wanting to call Hakin, but it's Hanik, I'm pretty sure, is able to explain to them what's going on. It seems that they are members of a race called the Skreans. That's with 2 R's.
Yeah, 2 R's. Very important.
Long oppressed in the Gamma Quadrant by another race called the Tarogaran. The Tarogaran were recently themselves conquered by another race who belonged to something called the Do something.
Mm. She's like, yeah, I don't know their names, but I know they were part of the Dominion.
Yeah, the Domumu or something like that. This allowed 3 million Skrean refugees to escape on a mission to find a legendary planet called Quintana that lies on the other side of a gateway called the Eye of the Universe, which Hanik believes must be the Bajoran wormhole.
Which, I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
How many other eyes of the universe are there out there?
I mean, if I found the Bajoran wormhole and I believed in this legend called the Eye of the Universe, I would be like, this has got to be what we're looking for.
Although I think in Battlestar Galactica, like, there's a whole galactic eye thingy too, and that one turns out to be a pulsar or something, if I'm remembering right.
In the new Battlestar?
Yeah, the new one.
Also, we learn that the Skrean society is run by females, as the males are, quote, too emotional. Which is very polite, given what we see throughout the rest of the episode.
Yeah, it doesn't seem... I mean, okay, the one kid is very emotional. He's like a very angry young man. But it's, in general, it doesn't seem so much that they're too emotional as that they are idiots.
Yeah, they are mentally disabled in some way.
Yeah, it's like really, really, like... I don't know.
Yep. Kira wakes Hanik up in the middle of the night to announce more Skreans are on the way, and to gift her the dress she was so obsessed with. However, Hanik explains that she was obsessively pointing and jabbering on about the dress because she finds it so incredibly ugly. So yeah, we already talked about that. Jake and Nog, sitting on their usual perch above the promenade, talk about Jake's recent date with a Dabo girl. This raises so many uncomfortable questions that for my own sanity, I have to assume Jake is just lying.
Well, no, he's dating a Dabo girl who is studying to be a
entomologist.
An entomologist, yeah.
So, okay. So this leaves one of 2 options. Either the Dabo girls, Quark hires a Dabo girl young enough to date Jake Sisko, or a much older Dabo girl is dating Jake Sisko.
Both good options.
I find nothing problematic with either of these possibilities.
Okay, hold on. I gotta see, because we find out her name, and there's some information about her.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. She was born in 2351, and Jake is born in 2355. So actually, she is only 4 years older than Jake.
But I mean, Jake is like the equivalent of a middle schooler.
Yeah. Okay. So what year is this episode? Now we're gonna get more deep into this. What year is the episode? How old is Jake? How old is she? So this episode takes place in 2370.
Right. So Jake is 15.
Jake 15 and her 19, which is a little bit weird.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been very happy to be dating a 19-year-old when I was 15, but I think Jake it's just a little weird. They witness Hanik's son stealing food, and Nog rightfully insults him for still not understanding how the replicators work.
Yeah, it's so... I don't even know if it qualifies as stealing, because, like, these people have finished their meal and gotten up and left, their garbage behind, and he's, like, rooting through the leftovers on a plate to eat. And it's like, they showed you that there's replicators in your quarters.
Yeah.
So
we had this whole demonstration.
But also, like, that's the Replimat. I'm pretty sure anybody can just go up and replicate some food. Like, if you're standing there, you can see people walking up and talking to the thing. Like, I don't know how you're like, okay, so I saw them walk over in order. I'll just wait here until they're done, and then I'll eat the leftovers.
Yep. Soon, many more Skreans arrive on the station. Odo, trying to keep order, stops Nog and a group of Skrean boys who are chasing him, after he apparently sprayed them with a foul vapor.
Yeah, foul-smelling vapor.
Odo drags Nog back to the security office, where Nog passes the time by reading the wanted poster for Plix Tixaplick, who I believe we have actually mentioned before.
Yeah, I think we probably have, because we've talked about some of the people on that wanted poster.
I was looking for the what's-her-face space hooker or whatever.
Right. Let's see if she shows up as on that list this time.
But there is a guy who looks exactly like Spock.
Huh.
On that.
So let's see. She's not under the uncredited co-stars list in this episode like she usually is.
Yeah,
so I didn't. The space hooker didn't show up.
I didn't see anybody that looked like a space hooker on that thing, but it's kind of hard to see the pictures.
Yep.
Quark comes in and teaches Nog a valuable lesson in pretending to be sorry in order to get out of trouble.
He pretends to be sorry so poorly.
So, oh yeah, I am sorry. It reminds me of a scene from The Wire where one of the drug dealers gets arrested, and like the lawyer is just doing his best to get him like out of trouble. And then the judge is like, "What do you have to say, young man?" And he stands up. He's like, I'm ready to be good." And the judge is like, "Okay."
Yeah, there you go. It's all good. I just... It's so ridiculous. Like, Quark's like, the boy is really sorry. And Nog's like, I am? And he's like, oh yeah, no, yeah, I totally am.
Odo's just like, whatever, just get out of here.
Oh man, yeah, here's Plix Tixaplick, who was in an episode of The Next Generation. Yeah, okay. I think we did talk about this guy.
Quark also takes this opportunity to complain about the Skreans driving away business, which pleases Odo.
Also complained that they flake.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that's gross.
Like, when they first showed up, I was like, so do these guys have a plague or some kind of skin condition? But I guess that's just what their skin is naturally like.
Yeah, and apparently the Skrean makeup is one of the makeup supervisor's favorite makeups that they've ever done due to its simplicity and effectiveness.
So it's their favorite because it was the easiest.
But also effective. Like, it does look very alien, I guess.
Yes.
The bumpy skin makeup was created by combining little bags of pumice found in a hobby train shop with liquid latex, which was then applied to the actors' faces and dried.
Huh. There you go. Yeah, I think it had to be so simple because of the scenes where we see, like, a jillion Skreans all over the place.
Yeah.
In Quarks, a group of Skrean women appoint Hanik their new leader as a reward for her accidentally discovering the wormhole.
Apparently they don't have any leaders left, so I guess somebody, like, you're the one who stands out because you did this thing, so...
Yeah. Well, I mean, you found the wormhole, you can be the leader, whatever. She meets with Kira and Varani, who gives her a recording of himself playing, as a token of friendship between the Bajorans and the Skreans, two long-suffering peoples. This inspires Hanik to do some research on the Bajoran system. Back on the promenade, Jake and Nog get into a fight with the Skrean boys from earlier, which Quark breaks up.
Yep, no Odo this time. Just Quark throwing young people around and then being like, I guess your parents never taught you manners. And I was just like, dude, you really don't have room to talk here.
For the first time ever, Quark is worried about manners. Meanwhile, Dax has just discovered a great-sounding uninhabited planet for the Skreans to settle on. Dax, Sisko, and Kira delightedly deliver the news to the Skreans, but they say that they've decided that Bajor is their legendary homeworld, and they'd rather settle there instead.
Yep. I mean, apparently there's no criteria for what this place is, except it's like past the eye of the universe, and also it's like a planet of sadness.
Yep. I mean, Bajor seems to fit the bill, I guess.
I mean, you could probably call a lot of planets like a planet of sadness.
True.
There's sad people everywhere.
A Bajoran minister and a Vedic show up to explain to the screens that no, they can't take in 3 million refugees right now.
Yeah, it's the scene. They're very convincing, and they spent a long time explaining why this would be a bad idea. Yeah. And she's just like, "But we wanna."
Yeah,
and
yeah. Hanik tries to argue that they wouldn't be a burden. In fact, they could help them with this amazing technology they have called farming.
Yeah, they're like, we're all farmers. We could totally farm this really great farmland. And they're like, that farmland used to be nice. The Cardassians trashed it, and now it sucks.
It's like the Northwest Peninsula.
Yeah.
The one Northwest Peninsula on the planet. I don't know anything about Bajoran geography.
No, yeah, it might all be one continent. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Minister Roseanne, the woman in this scene, is played by Kitty Swink, who was married to Armin Shimmerman.
Oh.
And so there's a comment in here where he's like, I was very proud of her. There's like a stigma attached to like hiring a spouse, and I'm glad that she broke it.
Nice.
And like there probably should be a stigma to like, nepotism in general, but in acting for a one-off part, it's not really. I'm not that worried about it.
I mean, we got Walter Koenig's son in here too, so
that's true. But so also William Schallert, the guy who plays the musician in the episode, he's in here, and he's got this whole long thing where he's like, yeah, I'd never seen any Star Trek, so I was like in a weird place. I was at a bit of a loss here. The only person I knew was Armin Shimmerman, and I knew him because we're both involved with the Screen Actors Guild, and then I know his wife because I'm one of the trustees of the pension and health plan, and she's really big into that. So there's just a whole thing about like, he's like, yeah, this is all I have about the show. And also apparently when he was trying to, they showed him this instrument, and he's like, oh yeah, I've played the piano all my life. Like I know my way around a musical instrument, but they gave me this thing, and there's no sort of indication of where your fingers are supposed to go. So I just like tried to figure out where I'd put my fingers, and then listened to the music they were playing and tried to match the tune. And he's like, I got close, kind of, but not exactly. And that was the hard part about my bit part on this show.
I don't know. He sold it well enough.
Yeah, no, I didn't doubt him.
Yeah.
Although I agree that it doesn't look like there's any like really fingering any, like there's no like holes or keys or anything where he's touching. I was just like, I buy it.
So yeah, the Bajorans are unmoved by the pleas of the Skreans. This leads to a great deal of pouting and whining from the Skreans.
Yes, and she feels like backstabbed by Kira, because Kira's like, well, I mean, they have a point. Well, she turns to Kira and she's like, do something, talk to them. And Kira could easily have just been like, well, I have no authority or ability to overturn this decision in any way. I'm just like a low-level person in terms of overall government. But instead Kira's like, well, no, but I agree with them. And that sets her off.
Yeah.
Hanik does. And so it really doesn't matter if Kira agrees with them or not.
Yep. But eventually Hanik's son steals a ship and tries to go to Bajor. What he was planning to do, I don't know. He's an idiot.
Yeah. Like there's that one scene where he finally has maybe figured out the replicators because he's in line to get something, and Jake's like, oh, I hear you're going to Draylon 2 or whatever. And he's like, I hear it's really nice. And the kid's like, do you want to live there? And Jake's like, well, no, I live here.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, well, I don't want to live there either.
So I'm not like a refugee from a like series of like conquests.
Yeah, right. It's like, if I had no current home, I might want to live on Draylon 2. I don't
know. So yes, this stealing of the ship leads to a tense standoff, which ends with the Bajorans accidentally destroying the ship by firing a phaser into some leaking radiation or something.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
As the Skreans angrily stomp off to live on their wonderful new homeworld that was provided for free without them having to do anything or even say thank you, Kira tries to reconcile with Hanik. but Hanique basically just tells her to go f*** herself.
It's true.
As the screens depart and the airlock closes, Kira stares off in what I can only assume is stunned disbelief at such unrepentant assholery. The end.
Well, she's like, we're such amazing farmers. Maybe we could have helped you. Did you ever think of that? You're like in a famine and we could have like fixed that, I assume. But apparently in the original version of the script, their amazing botanical skills convinced Bajor to let them settle there.
Huh. Because I never believed that their farming skills were actually that good.
I guess maybe, you know, in that version, they like show off somehow how amazing they are as farmers in some way. And everyone's like, oh my. And, yeah, it was decided that the happy ending just didn't feel that strong and was too pat and like, you know, wrap everything up-ish. So they were like, why don't we try this other thing where it's not a happy ending? Yeah,
I mean, I'm always for that. But I mean, it's just such the obvious. It's like, why would you? This whole thing of the Draylon 2 makes the entire conflict of the episode totally moot.
Yep. It's like, here's an awesome planet that's really perfect for lots of farming. And they're like, no, screw you.
It's like perfect climate, long growing season, super fertile soil, no radiation. And they're like, no, we want to go onto this peninsula that the Cardassians messed up and make it bloom or whatever.
And I mean, I guess we're supposed to, you know, maybe in some way feel, because they're like, this is our fabled homeland or whatever, but
that we just decided 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, like if there was more evidence that this was somehow, because we know that the prophets have handed out prophecies on this side of the wormhole, maybe they do that on the other side too. And so if there was more to back up their claim, then maybe I would be more interested in being like, oh, so if the prophets have actually directed them to settle here, maybe that's like something that we should take into, like, that might be important, that maybe they need to. They could easily have made this into a more like interesting, a more convincing sort of conflict, but instead it's like, we found this great place for you. Nah, we don't want to go there. We want your land.
Yeah, I know. Like, if there wasn't that other planet, this could be actually a really interesting dilemma. Also, if the aliens weren't such like idiots and assholes.
Yeah, it really doesn't help that he's just like, I mean, I get being angry at Nog because Nog's a little shit.
Sure.
But that kid is just constantly angry in general, and all of the males are idiots, and we only get kind of like a couple of lines from any females other than the primary one. And she seems, I mean, she's like, I was basically just a farmer. Like, I've never done any leadership. So I believe her naivete at like leadership matters. But the problem is that you're the only one we've got here. You're the only person we're talking to. And so when you go all in on this, it makes your entire people look like crap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just feel like the way to write this episode is so obvious. Where these refugees come through the wormhole, they've been through such horrible stuff, and they're like, hey, we see this land that you have, this, you know, uninhabited land on Bajor or whatever, and we think we can really do something about it. And then it becomes this really difficult debate because they have nowhere else to go. And then at the end, having to make the decision, it's like, look, we totally sympathize with you because we've been through all the same stuff, but like, we just cannot accept you on our planet right now, even though we realize that's going to, you know, you're going to have a long road ahead of you trying to find a new home.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, now it's just like, well, I mean, you have this other amazing, perfect home. I mean, I don't feel bad at all, like, turning you away.
Yeah, it's hard to feel bad for them going to a nice place. I mean, you know, there's no infrastructure or anything. It's like a barren planet, or not barren, but like an unsettled planet.
Sure.
So I'm sure it won't be super easy, but still.
I mean, I bet they'll have all kinds of assistance, and you know, this is the kind of thing that the Federation is good at.
It's true. I like Michael Piller. There's a quote in here where he's like, look, in reality, when a foreign group of people come en masse to someone else's homeland, the natives seldom greet them with open arms and allow them to stay. So
And I mean, I don't know what the situation was in like 93 when this aired, but it's like, recently when we've had like, the Syrian refugees and the Ukrainian refugees, like this is a really, good topic to explore.
It's true.
But I just feel like they have not like really made a good episode about it.
Yeah, this is I mean, do you want to just go straight into ratings at this point?
I mean, yeah,
because I feel like that's where we're getting to.
I mean, there's just not much to say about this episode, it seems like, because I should have looked at more like background stuff.
There's not that much on the wiki here either. Yeah. There's one note where it's like, the screenwriters had difficulty finding some sort of uniqueness for the Skria, and then they decided their skin would flake. And Ira Stephen Bear's like, yeah, there's something really disgusting and intrusive about an alien race that they come in and leave bits of themselves on your table and on your glasses.
Yeah, maybe that wasn't... I think one last thing I'll mention, then we can dive into ratings, is like the main conflict of the episode doesn't come up until after the 30-minute mark. We basically spend 30 minutes just wasting time with like the translator malfunctioning and then like them getting into trouble with Quark, and all that has nothing to do with like the ultimate like point of the episode.
It does feel like there's a lot of filler in the first part of this episode. Even when we get like this conflict, it's like you said, there's not much to the conflict, and you're not really there's no stakes here.
Yeah.
Because I think that from the beginning, I never have a single thought that they're going to settle on Bajor. Even before somebody comes in and outlines all the reasons why these 3 million people settling on Bajor is a bad idea, I can say up front, like, no, we're not going to have a group of weird flaky skin aliens, like 3 million of them, just come and live on Bajor. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. Which means that at no point am I like into the conflict of the episode.
Right, and it just would have been like if we spent like the whole episode, or, the majority of the episode on this point, where it's like, where if the central thing of the episode was, can we fit these people on our planet? Because obviously there's a lot of sympathy for them.
Yeah.
And then either way they decided to end it, either it's like, we have to turn them away, like we have to put ourselves first, because we are just not in a condition to accept these people. Or if they said, like, it would be so far against our conscience to turn these people away, we will give them the land. Like, if we had built up that whole thing appropriately, either one of those endings could have been really, like, resonant and emotional.
Yeah.
And whatever. But, I mean, they didn't. It was like, the conflict was introduced in one scene and then just shut down in the very next scene. So, it's like I didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I will say I have one positive thing to say about the episode, and that's that I do like that they were gutsy enough to be like, okay, we're going to kill this kid.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't think that you would have seen, unlike the Next Generation. It would have been like they would have saved him at the last second or whatever.
Sure.
Because, the out of control, emotional kid, he doesn't end up suffering consequences from his actions is usually how these things go.
Yeah.
But here they're like, oh crap, he's dead. And there's like a very solemn, even like the general who they've got on the radio who's trying to order his men to stand. He's like, wait, a kid? What are you talking about? Like, no one told him apparently.
Yeah,
he just gave the order to fire on this ship without knowing all the details. But he's just like, dude, I'm really sorry. Like,
yeah. But anyway, so you want to give your rating?
Yeah. I'm gonna give this one. I'm trying to decide if that one bright spot of the episode is enough to like save it from the bottom of the thing for me. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say that it is a lieutenant junior grade.
Okay, that's fair. I I thought long and hard about this. I just have to give it an ensign.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Like, first of all, because, I gave Melora an ensign, which was probably a little too mean. But it was like that episode, just bored me to death. And this one, I did find myself getting actually angry at the episode at points. And so it's not a good episode. Like there's a little bit of nugget of promise in the premise, but they just executed it so poorly. Like I have to put it at the bottom. So I'm like putting it ensign under Melora. And actually,
I think I gave Lieutenant Junior grade to Melora also, so it was already my bottom 2, and I think this one goes below that for me as well.
Also, you gave Second Sight Lieutenant Junior grade.
Okay, well, this one goes all the way at the bottom.
Okay, so both all the way at the bottom. Yeah, just hard to find much positive in the episode.
Well, yeah, and coming into this record, I was like, I'm just gonna have to be like, I've been saying this a lot, but I don't like this episode.
Yeah,
like that's been kind of my refrain for several episodes this season, and I feel kind of bad about it, especially since we started out really strong. I feel like.
Well, and there was nothing like, a strong guest star like we had with the last couple of episodes, like on Rules of Acquisition.
Oh yeah,
or on Second Sight.
You can't beat that guest star in Rules of Acquisition. So
Wallace Shawn. So
yeah.
It was just like there's absolutely nothing to draw me back to this episode. So, why bother?
Yeah, it is a very forgettable episode also, I say, because I didn't remember it really when we got into the episode. I was like, I've watched Deep Space Nine a bunch of times. I don't remember this one. So, yeah.
Yep. I don't know if that's to its credit or not, because, like, at least in, what's the one we like to hate on a lot? The storyteller.
Yeah, I remember that one.
At least you always remember.
Yep.
Like Miles O'Brien getting up there and doing whatever he's doing.
I wish I could forget how badly he tells a story.
And then Miles O'Brien being offered like the women of the village or whatever.
Hey, on the plus side for this episode though, the Morn sighting isn't hard to spot.
Yeah. Morn, man, I cannot tell you, because I edited the last 2 episodes today, and I cannot tell you how hard I looked for the Morn sighting in the Necessary Evil episode. And I didn't cheat. I didn't Google it. He walks by in the background for like 1 frame. And he's like really blurry and out of focus. But I found him.
Way to go.
So I think we should get an extra thumbs up for that.
So I'm looking at our ratings so far, and mine particularly for this season. It's like the first 4 episodes are at the top, and then everything else is like under the line. And it's kind of discouraging to be like, we started like it's at the beginning of the season. We're like, man, they're doing really good. They're doing all this stuff that I want to see them do. It's all going really well, and then it just like drops.
Right. I mean, we definitely started off with a bang. I mean, that original 3-parter. I mean, it had ups and downs, but overall, it was it was pretty strong. And then I liked Cardassians. You didn't like it so much.
I didn't like
just
it
because of the unpleasant subject matter. But other than that, and then I think Invasive Procedures was watchable enough. Like it's kind of what you want.
Yeah, we both have that above the line at least.
Yeah, it's like what you want for kind of like a less flashy episode.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But then after that, it's just kind of all been like, nah.
I mean, you put Rules of Acquisition above the line, at least.
That's true. I mean, I forget what I just like Wallace Shawn so much.
Yep.
And, we mentioned the Dominion. There are just a few fun moments in that.
And we mentioned the Dominion in this one.
Yep.
Which just, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, we were conquered by these people, and then they were conquered. We didn't really pay attention to who conquered them, I guess. But
yeah. It was like, they had to go away. I guess what happened is they had to go away back to their home planet to fight off this, like, invasion. I was like, I don't know, someone was conquering them. I heard it was something about the Dominion. But anyway, we took this opportunity to get the heck out of there. Which kind of raises some questions, like, are there more Skreans out there? Like, what was their situation? I don't know.
I mean, presumably there must be, right?
Yeah. I have a feeling the Skreans are not in any novels anywhere.
This is a great question. Hold on.
Like,
if we can find
if
out.
someone wrote a novel about the Skreans, I would be amazed.
There's a very big open question of, does Quintana exist and will they find it? So I could totally see somebody being like, let's use that.
I guess.
Let's see.
Maybe that planet is Quintana. You don't know.
In Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Mission Gamma, novel Cathedral. So I guess Mission Gamma is like a series of novels, or I don't know. The novel is called Cathedral. The character Vedek Solus Tendrin recalls the Skrean problem when settling the Europani on Bajor. Tendrin wishes the Skreans had been allowed to settle on the planet and farm the land, as by 2376 the Northwest Peninsula is still underdeveloped. They're also mentioned by Dr. Bixthar in the pocket TNG novel Losing the Peace. A sociological expert, Bixthar once observed life on the Skrean communities on Draylon 2 as part of her work. That's all.
Yeah, so they're basically just referenced in passing.
Yep.
I continue to be amazed how these novel writers bring in every single episode. Like, we haven't talked about...
It's so true.
We haven't talked about cards in a while. I don't think there's any cards from this episode, though.
No, the only thing that I thought about card-wise here was when I was looking... You said that guy had been in other Star Trek things. I was like, oh, Lovok, that's a card.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's one of the guys he played.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, no, I don't remember any card from this one.
Yep. So anyway, ready to call it?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see if there were any random final fun facts from this one that I wanted to pull out. Oh, so there was one. The dress that was like the ugliest thing she'd ever seen or whatever was worn in an episode of The Next Generation, Deja Q, when like Q randomly summons like two hot women to like be on Riker, one on each of Riker's arms. Like one of them is wearing the ugly dress.
Did that air before or after this?
I think Deja Q is a pretty early episode. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a season 3 episode.
So they just had that dress laying around, and they were like, yeah, okay.
Because this episode not only is set on the same star date as Parallels in season 7 of The Next Generation, it was broadcast the same week.
So it's kind of amazing. We're kind of getting close to the end of The Next Generation.
Yeah, we're getting quite close, because Parallels, I think, is it's like mid-season Next Generation season 7.
Yeah. So yeah, we started in season 6 of Next Generation, so yeah, we've got to be in season 7. Although it's kind of amazing, we've gone through 1.5 seasons, and we're still in like November when we started in January.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, I did notice there's a little continuity gaffe with how Bajorans clap in the episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like when he's playing after his song's over, everybody claps in like the normal human clapping style. But before this, and I think after this, Bajorans clap with the palm to the back of their hand.
Ah, I never noticed that before. Interesting. Man, can they do nothing right? Who directed this? Wait, who directed? No.
No, it was Les Landau.
Yeah, Les Landau. Okay, never mind. I was about to throw the director under the bus, but Les Landau should know better.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway. So yeah, let's go ahead and call it.
Okay.
If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Be sure to check out the description, where I occasionally put links to interesting things. I'm Fletcher, about to say goodbye as Data.
Bye.
And remember, every once in a while, declare peace. It confuses the hell out of your enemies.
Oh man, I just found this link in the Rules of Acquisition episode to test your Tonga knowledge.
Yep.
About the island nation of Tonga.
Yep. I've really been trying to put like interesting things in the description. Anyway, I'm hitting stop.